Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem is one of the most popular theorems out there about a triangle, and it's something that is taken as a common sense knowledge for all educators or all learners. So simply put, for you to be able to say that the triangle is a right triangle, so we talk about right triangle, a squared plus b squared has to equal c squared. And here a, b, and c is referred to the length of the sides. So this is a Pythagorean theorem. So number one, it says find each missing length to the nearest tenth. So missing length, what do we not know here? So if you look at number one, we have a missing length right here, which is a hypotenuse. So A, B, and C, in A, B, and C, C is the hypotenuse and A and B are the other two lengths. So we can say that 8 is A, B is 6, and then C is X, the unknown. Again, A and B, doesn't matter which one's A or B, what matters is what's C, which is a hypotenuse. So because we are already given the information is a right triangle, we should be able to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the x, the c value. So a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. 8 squared plus 6 squared is equal to c squared. I simply plugged 8 and 6 into the places of a and b. So 64 plus 36 is equal to c squared. Just in case it's confusing, I'm going to say this is 6. Alright, so this is 100 is equal to c squared. Square root both sides. C is equal to 10. So the missing length for number 1, this is the length of 10. Okay. Let's try one more. If you were to look at let's say number 6. The missing length is right here. Which lengths are given to us? We know that 7 is one of the legs, x is one of the legs, and the hypotenuse is 10, which means this is my c value. And I'll just assign a and b to the other two. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So be 7 squared plus b squared is equal to 10 squared. 49 plus b squared is equal to 100. Subtract away 49 from both ends. B squared is equal to 51. Square root both sides. B is equal to square root of 51. I'm just going to leave it as square root of 51 as it is already a prime. Okay, so the length of the missing length here is square root of 51. So again, that's how you use the Pythagorean theorem. So if you don't know the length of something that is a right triangle, you use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out what the missing length is going to be. So you can still apply the same idea even if you're not given a picture of a triangle. Number 11. So do the following lengths form a right triangle? So for us to say that, oh yes, these triangles are right triangles, we should be able to say a squared plus b squared is c squared. So we're going to check that to say yes, they are. So number 11. So the hypotenuse is 9 because the longest side is always going to be the hypotenuse for the right triangles. So let's say a, b, and c. Let's check that. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, so be 8 squared plus 6 squared is equal to 9 squared. 64 plus 36 is equal to 81. 100 actually does not equal 81. So it is not a right triangle. Let me rewrite that. Okay, so if it's not a right triangle, is it just not a triangle overall? That is not true. We can still check whether it's going to be a right triangle, or actually we already proved that it's not a right triangle. We can say that we can figure out whether it's acute or obtuse. Okay, so if a right triangle, for a right triangle we said a squared plus b squared has to equal c squared. Then we're going to write the similar thing for acute and obtuse. Okay. All right, so same format of the equation. It's just that it is now going to be an inequality because obviously if it's equal, then it's right triangle. So a characteristic of obtuse triangle is that the longest side is actually even longer than when it was a right triangle, which means the value of c is larger. So a squared plus b squared is less than c squared. In other words, for acute, it would be a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared. The reason why it's greater than c squared is because the value of the c value gets smaller for acute. The reason why a squared plus b squared is less than c squared is because the value of the c gets lengthened for obtuse triangle. And this is how you check what type of triangle it is. And that is it.